I'm sort of getting over the idea, if you know what I mean.
There's a speed limit in this state, Mr. Neff. 45 miles an hour.
How fast was I going, officer?
I'd say around 90.
Suppose you get down off your motorcycle and give me a ticket.
Suppose I let you off with a warning this time.
Suppose it doesn't take.
Suppose I have to whack you over the knuckles.
Suppose I bust out crying and put my head in your shoulder.
Suppose you try putting it on my husband's shoulder.
That tears it.
I'm a box rap, you know what I'm saying? That's how you fucking
I reckon you shot 5 times, damn.
All right. It's another Boyd. The Boyd podcast is about to begin. It's another week, another Boyd, and tonight, what are we talking about? I've been dumping some promos around, and really it all started all right, and let me switch my camera here. All right, so thank you for joining. Looks like we don't have anyone on Facebook. Got a couple people on YouTube. Thank you for joining. You guys are pretty special in a world of billions of people. You two folks right now are joining in the moment, live on the Boyd, talking about toxic masculinity. So hopefully you got some kind of opinion about that. Now, maybe if not, you can listen to opinions that are floating around. Oh yeah, let me change this. All right, trying to do all these things and make this work. Hold on a second. There we go. All right, so here at the studios in Duval, feel like I'm in a swamp, to be honest, but in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm, calling it the studio is sort of hyperbole, I guess you could say, but here we are. This is where I film the episodes. All right, so let's just go ahead and jump into it. By the way, if you want to support the show, first of all, try to tell some people about it. The whole point of the show is to like share, just share points of view and sort of hash through, especially differing points of view. So somewhere in the arbitrage between positions, somewhere there's some distance we can close the gap on. So that's the whole point of the show, is to try to seek that point. And sometimes I think the world, the people who curate the things that we believe and see around us, the things that we're exposed to, I think, sometimes they send us on these red herrings or these wild goose chases. And I think if we talk through it, maybe we can identify some of those together. All right, Mike, Superfan Mike, what's up? All right, good. We got 3 now, 3 very unique people in the world. All right, so let's jump into it, talking about toxic masculinity. Please put in the comments, live comments, if you want. You can Skype in. Hey, Chris, Superfan Chris is joining us tonight. Welcome to the Boyd podcast. All right, so I chose the topic. I mean, I know this is a very fateful day, the 11th of September. In general is a day that's marked in infamy now. However, I don't want to do an episode about that. I think I did an episode a while back, possibly last year. And it was like 9/11 and the forever time, something like that. It's in the archives. So just follow, the way to the videos, and it's out there somewhere. And I don't even remember what I said, but it's out there in the internet universe, so it's indelible, right? Now, non-erasable. That's a pretty good word, indelible. Let's don't take my word for it. Let's Google that word for you guys. Indelible, right? So that basically means like you can't erase it. But like I said, don't take my word for it, because I'm just a hoodlum with an internet connection. So here we go. How do I do this? Let me find this method of sharing with you this. Okay, here we go. Indelible. Bam. Marks that cannot be removed, permanent, lasting, etc. Persisting, enduring, not able to be forgotten or removed, right? So whatever I said, and I apologize for YouTube folks, I don't know if you can see this in normal, quote unquote, normal perception, or if this is backwards. Let me know in the comments. I think Facebook people should be okay. Looks like we got one person that's joining us right now on Facebook. Thank you for joining. We've just talked about the word indelible. Oh, why did I talk about indelible? Because the videos I've already posted, I don't remember exactly what I said about 9/11 last year, but it's in the indelible internet universe. So at this point, I'm just going to have to defend whatever I said. So watch it and tell me your thoughts and share your opinion. And we'll go from there. Chris can see it. Is it backwards though, or is it forwards when I show the word? That's the thing. Because to me, it's backwards from my point of view. So I feel bad because the YouTube people are seeing it backwards, whereas my Facebook feed people, at least from what I can see on the Facebook feed, it looks like it's normal. I don't know. Whatever. At the end of the day, as long as you can hear what we're talking about, that's the most important part. That is the most important part. Okay, so what was I doing? Yes, I was going to share with you the thing. Okay, this is going to be sort of tough to share with the stuff that I have right now. Okay, so Mike's saying it's forward. Like, I guess it's like the normal way that you would read something. Okay, so they are not complaining that it's backwards. So it must just be my view as the producer in YouTube. Okay, so let me share something else with you guys. Here we go. Let me share, change the way this looks. Someday, with y'all's help in sharing and discussing and commenting and all of the activities that you do, someday you're going to help grow this show. And here we go. Oh wait, that's not. I don't think you guys can read this. Let me see. I might just have to show pieces of it. Hold on. Let me do this again. Someday I'm gonna have a live producer so that you guys can. All right. For my audio only people, hopefully I edit this part out. Here we go. At least the people that are tuning in live get to see this theatrics while I try to queue up something. Okay, here we go. This all started because this isn't the first time that I've seen this meme floating around in the right-wing circles. I'm still connected via Facebook to people in just different walks of life that I've met and became Facebook friends with because, willy-nilly, why not become Facebook friends with whoever. And so by stubborn grit, I am still Facebook friends with some folks that have very differing views to the point where sometimes there's very heated and very, I don't know, silly arguments, right? Sometimes I get silly. I have to admit I've been silly a few times. Everyone starts getting silly and it's just worthless sometimes where it devolves into basically a yelling match of as much as text can be such. Anyway, so that's why I want to talk about it on this platform instead, so we can get a little bit more nuanced approach. I know that some folks that are big proponents of this meme are not into the word nuance, which, okay, here, let's go to nuance and let's talk about the definition. Oh man, sorry guys. This is just, you guys are going to have to see what's going on. Let me adjust this. Okay, nuanced. So this is the problem. And this can almost sum up a lot of the views. I want to say right-wingers, conservatives, but I don't want to lump everybody into one basket. But you sort of basically can sort of do that because it happens all the time, just off of observation. However, this is also other people are guilty of this a lot because nuance is tricky. Nuance is hard. Nuance takes extra effort, right? What is nuance? It is nuance for our audio only listeners here. Nuance, noun, a subtle difference in or shade of meaning, expression, or sound. Quote, the nuances of facial expression and body language, unquote. Fine distinction, subtle distinction, difference, right? So sometimes when we come up with our argument or come up with a position, we want to just give the most what we believe is concrete, or possibly tell someone, whoever we have an opposing view with, that they have some absurd view, that that their argument has some link to absurdity to it. And there's a point somewhere that there's probably some truth to something in there, but it's lacking nuance, right? That maybe something's true, but it's lacking nuance. So you're missing a big chunk of something important. It's like trying to solve a murder case, but you don't have the right exact clues, but you got enough clues. So you're just going to, you got enough clues to possibly convict someone. So you're just going to do it, not because it's the truth, but just because it's easier to just go ahead and do it than keep investigating, right? Even though someone innocent might go to jail or something like that, the nuanced position would be to investigate further. So a lot of times we don't want to take the nuanced approach, or having to take the nuanced approach causes us to have to change something because we're not used to that, because it's a new idea to us, right? And some people, by definition of their own self identity sometimes, because people sometimes identify themselves as quote unquote conservative, or they identify themselves as liberal or leftist or whatever, some kind of label that either they themselves love to some degree where they put their identity to it, or something that they feel some affinity to, something to that effect. Maybe it makes it easier for them to sort of sum themselves up to people, that they can just sort of say, I'm a liberal, or I'm a conservative, or I'm a this or that. And with all the assumptions that go with it, I'm a right-wing conservative. So what would that mean? Right? Oh no, I'm a left-wing liberal. I think there was a superfan DC. I don't know if DC's joined us tonight or not, but Superfan DC said something about her being confused about my political affiliation. And I really don't care too much about politics. I like to talk about issues, social issues, but I don't like the game of politics, that people think that our society is like a game to them. And they sort of play this game. That's really a game with we are the board. Some people could liken us to pawns. I think like we're not even that. We're not even pawns. We're the board on which the pawns play. There's a game being played that we're not part of. Like George Carlin says, it's a club, big club that you're not part of. And people say, nuh-uh, nuh-uh. And it's like, yeah, well, I can't prove it to you. I'm not privy to the inner workings of all of these things. But when most of us can admit that our politicians are bought, and that there's certain things that if you follow things like the Davos conference or the Bilderberg conference, or some of these conferences where the multi-billionaires, who the richest people in the world, when they are warning each other of possible rebellion, possible revolt due to higher income inequality, and they're worried that something big is going to happen, right? This makes it seem like, hey, it might be more real. Unless you think that they're putting on a ruse, unless you think they're acting. I don't know. You tell me. What do you think? Do you think the rich people are acting about the possibility that the people in the general populace, pretty much the workers, decide to revolt, etc.? I don't know. But that's getting off topic. We're talking about toxic masculinity. All right. So this meme that goes around for our audio only listeners, there's a rather robust male figure, stocky male figure, I guess, fully bearded, with a young girl atop his shoulders, assuming some, I don't know what the relation is with this male figure to this girl child, but I don't know. Anyway, that's the image that's there. They are both Caucasian, if that matters at all. I don't know, but that is the meme that goes around. I will read the caption, and I'll scroll down for my video people, because I'm only showing part of it. And some of them might have been reading already. The masculine American male is a dying breed. We have been told for far too long that violence is never the answer. Well, we generally, I think if we're to go, I'm just going to read it through, and then we'll talk about it. Okay. So violence is never the answer. We've been told that it's cruel to kill our own food. We've been conditioned to believe that there is no place in modern society for the man who refuses to shave his chest or wear skinny jeans. As a man, you are protector. As a man, you are provider. As a man, you are solely responsible for the safety and well-being of your family. Oh wait, hold on. Let me scroll this down. Well-being of your family. Okay, here we go. I think that's it. Okay, here we go. The well-being of. Wait, where did I lost my place? Hold on. Oh yeah, well-being of your family. How can you be a good husband if you can't defend your wife? How can you be a good father if you can't protect your children? Remember, the eyes of the children are fixed upon you. You serve as an example of what young men should grow up to be and of what young women should seek out in a partner. So grow your beard, wear your boots, eat your sleek, or excuse me, eat your, this is pretty small words here. Eat your steak, carry a knife, own a gun, protect your woman, fight for what is right and just. Be strong, be of good courage. Long live the masculine American male. Okay, so this has been going around. So, like I've told you before that I go on to stuff like Atlas Society and any basically, if you are still friends with me and are basically what we would, I guess, say are conservatives or right wings people, it seems to be mostly them. There's some liberal folks that bailed on me because I'm sort of extreme in whatever view I take. I don't think so, but they think so. What is it? Yeah, most of my conservative acquaintances or whatever Facebook connections, most of them have bailed out, but there's some that they're pretty stubborn. And you know what? I give them a ton of credit because I do troll their stuff. I admit I do troll it. I actively troll things that, and they can be what some people would consider left wing. I don't really care. Like, for instance, this is what people don't understand. Left and right doesn't work with me. Yeah, really, at the end of the day, I am, if you looked at it historically in the grand scheme of human history, I am in this moment, in the contemporary moment right now, probably militant leftist. And that's going to surprise a lot of people. But that's probably right now, considering the political climate, probably militant leftist. But I might surprise you with how I discuss some of these things. So, like, for instance, some people might think, okay, militant leftists, well, that's sort of oxymoron because liberals are against guns. And you're right, liberals, which there's a burgeoning now. I don't know. I haven't seen this before, but maybe I'm just now being exposed to it. I don't know. But there's been the sort of growth of a left wing of people that are more left than the liberals are. And when I say liberals, these are the people who are fine with American bombs, bombing whoever. It doesn't really matter. But if women are the CEOs of those companies, then we're making progress. That's like liberal stuff. Or like they're super anti-gun. The hardcore leftists are like, quoting Karl Marx and talking about the armed proletariat and armed working class because, you need to be able to protect yourself from the state, which can be hijacked by the bourgeoisie, right? I mean, we don't have to get into the weirdo terms about it. But I mean, I don't believe that necessarily, but I sort of do, sort of in the way that the right wing people believe that they're going to fight a tyrannical government, right? So do they really believe it? Are they really ready? I don't know. 3%ers say they're ready. Some of these, I don't know, what does that mean? What does tyranny mean? They don't seem to mind when inner city black kids get stopped and frisked and their Fourth Amendment rights are violated. They're okay with that. If you violate someone's Second Amendment rights or their right to graze their cattle, and they happen to be like white dudes, then they'll spring into action. So I don't know if there's something like that about behind them. Maybe there's an outreach that can get the 1%ers to start defending, like let's say journalists that are getting put in jail for putting out information that the state doesn't want out. It sounds like conspiracy theory stuff, but there's some people that were filming stuff like the destruction of a oil pipeline. And the journalist who was just simply filming it was also wrangled in there and may face up to 10 years in prison. I don't know if they got off or not. I haven't been following, but supposedly the protocol for that or potential for that type of punishment is out there for simply First Amendment right of the free press to be there to document what's happening, so they can go ahead, arrest the protesters, go ahead and arrest those people who broke that oil pipeline. That's fine. Go ahead and do what the state must do, but the free press must remain. I didn't see the 3%ers come out, or the constitutionalists, or those guys that like to LARP about like they're the protectors of freedom, and they aren't really. It's like this little pet thing about guns, and that's it. They don't really care about the Constitution. They don't really care about that kind of shit. Otherwise, they would be protecting their fellow Americans, and that's a problem that's going on. And I believe that the people who are really in charge, the people in Davos, the people in these different places that are coming together and talking about the popular uprising and that kind of stuff, they know that once we realize that we are all one people, that they know that once, especially American people, but if globally it happens, that's going to be crazy. But if the American people wake up and realize that we're all Americans and we kick ass because we're Americans, and we're just like, we don't have to play this stupid game about liberals and conservatives and all this concocted bullshit. My whole point is, this meme that's floating around is fighting a straw man that doesn't exist. It's fighting a paper tiger. It wants to, there is no attack on the masculine American male. There's an attack on the toxicity of imposing whatever your view of that male is, or whatever. When I say your, that's anybody's view of what that is. And I was like, I don't know. There's different definitions about it. I was sort of nervous about it because I don't know how much I really wanted to dig into what different folks are saying about the toxic masculinity topic. I sort of wanted to throw it out to the group of folks that are tuning in. We got 3 right now, 3 very unique people in the whole wide world that are viewing this, and 1 person on Facebook, a very unique person in the billions of people on this earth are watching the Boyd right now live. So make your presence known. Got super fans Chris and Mike on there. So my whole point is that there is a contrived narrative that's used to divide the population, that people who are, I guess, in this stereotypical way, masculine, are under attack because the expectation that they behold upon their kin or their children or their friends or other people, either they expect or others expect for them to fit that mold as well. That's where it becomes toxic. And, there's different ways you could define it. Sort of the most succinct way that I could come up with to define toxic masculinity is when your definition of what masculine is causes punishment or harassment upon someone else. And you can have toxic femininity too. If, like, say, for instance, you had some feminist out there that was so feminist that she forbade a boy child from having masculine traits that they naturally gravitated to, either by social conditioning or by whatever nature versus nurture promulgated this end result that maybe made them want to play with trucks and wear boots and whatever stereotypical shit that probably would be listed in this meme, right? And this uber femme would thwart all that because it was showing masculine traits or something. That would be toxic femininity, right? So anything like that, let's say you got a big burly chest and hair, but your kid doesn't have any kind of chest hair, or they're not big and burly, and maybe they like science projects instead of working out or some crap like that, or whatever your definition of masculine is. And, if you're making fun of them for not fitting the masculine sort of pie or mold that you put together for them, that's when it becomes toxic. But being strong is not toxic masculinity, or no one's saying don't do that. not all men can protect their woman in the physical way necessarily that some burly guy can protect their woman, but maybe some dude knows how to create a campaign that a Facebook campaign that does some crazy shit, either good or bad, or whatever shit. I don't fucking know. I mean, people have superpowers in their own fucking way. I don't know, right? You don't know. So like even this is someone commented basically my troll to this was to tag the group, because there's all these tag groups floating around now. It's tagged, the title is Conservatives Getting Angry Over Stuff They Made Up Themselves. That was that tagline. So, of course, all the conservatives, this person that posted this being one, got all butthurt about it and got all inflamed and telling me how I'm such a troll and I attack them all the time and, this and that. I'm like, look, I mean, I'm just saying that there's a paper tiger out here. Nothing's wrong with this. It's a gaslight too. I mean, whatever this whole violence thing, who said violence? I mean, I don't know. I think like this was crazy to me, that violence is never the answer. Told too long that violence is never. I mean, when should violence be the answer? What does that mean? You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, is it okay for me to like mug you and take your shit? Is that okay? Violence as an answer? What if I'm really hungry? Or whatever. I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. Mike says, I'm non-toxic masculinity. And I agree. I think there's masculinity out there to be had. And I think that all men embody some level of masculinity, whatever. I mean, God, probably the most masculine thing you could do is be fucking comfortable with your masculinity and not have to make up for it and act weird about it. That's when it becomes weird, right? And it can get toxic when someone's either harassed or punished for not meeting a standard of masculinity of some sort. That's when it's toxic, I think. There's other stuff too. There's a component of misogyny that ties into that. That's a pretty good word. Some of you guys know this word already, misogyny, or to be misogynistic. If you know that word, share it with your friends. We all should learn how to help talk with each other. How do you spell misogyny? Misogyny. All right, here we go. Sort of spelled weird. Here, let me share with you guys. So some of you guys know what it is. It's basically being anti-woman kind of stuff, but don't take my word for it, because I'm just a hoodlum with the internet. All right, so misogyny, MISOGYNY. All right, here we go. Noun, dislike of, contempt for, or ingrained prejudice against women. Right. So some of the toxic masculinity has an expectation built into it for misogynistic behavior, to act a certain way towards women, to have a certain view or worldview towards women. You know what I mean? So that's also incorporated. It's also part of it. So anyway, that's just a word, another one of them $5 words. You never know, might help you communicate with the rest of the world one day. And really sum up something. All right, misogynist. All right, I've got a lot of stuff going on in the chat. Let's see what's up. Mike says, any masculinity I have comes naturally from instinct of being a man, I guess. No doubt. And you don't have to come up with some way to, I don't know, if you have some kind of perceived fault that's not fully masculine, maybe you don't have a huge beard. I guess like according to that meme, you gotta have a huge beard to be masculine. I don't know, but I don't have a huge beard and I feel masculine enough. Maybe I don't know anything about sports and shit. I don't give a fuck. I don't even know what's considered masculine. I don't give a shit. So what? I don't know. Someone tell me. But that's the thing, is there's a contrived. It's like, to me also, like, for instance, I was telling you, people get confused if I'm left or right wing. It's like, I will troll a liberal who's like massively anti-gun. I'll post like a Karl Marx meme talking about armed working class or some shit, right? So I'm not like, I'm just a troll, I guess. I don't like people to make, like, I expect people to troll me. When I make a public commentary, I get trolled and I have to defend my point or the thing that I shared. And I've been caught a couple times sharing some shit. God, I should stop using this uncomfortable chair. It's so uncomfortable. I think I do it on purpose so that my show doesn't run too long. Anyway, all right, whatever. All right, let's see what's going on. Instinct to be a man. Chris says society teaches us that men need to get out and bring home the bacon, quote unquote. Women were told to stay home and raise the babies and cook. Time has passed. Oh, wow. Okay, we got some activity. Time has passed, and some men simply are better at housekeeping than the women, and the women are getting higher degrees with secure jobs. Actually, supposedly, women are actually graduating from college more, though I think we're finding more and more that college degrees sometimes aren't that helpful. Especially the fact that people are working in fields that are completely opposite or not related at all to their degrees. But here we go. Let's see what's going on. Time has passed. Mike says. Mike says, I don't know any other way to act, but to act like myself or how I feel. Yeah, basically. Right. And I think it's really the toxicity. What's the toxicity? It's not about whether or not you have a burly chest or if you wear skinny jeans or not. I don't wear skinny jeans. And if I do, it's not on purpose. It's probably my jeans shrunk or maybe I gained weight. I don't know. It's one of those things. But whatever. It's anyway, or if I do, it's by accident because someone gave them to me. So I don't give a shit. I mean, if that's not masculine, I don't fucking care. Like, why do they even give a shit? Who says anything about skinny jeans? Oh, or there's something wrong with you because you don't wear skinny jeans. Is that what they were lamenting? Let me go back and look at this because the fuck is this about skinny jeans? Like, that's what I'm saying. There's like this paper tiger. They so whoever resonates with this meme wants to be the victim so bad. They want, someone's making me. Oh, they're talking shit on me. Oh, what is it about fucking skinny jeans? I don't know. Too long, something about a woman. Grow your beard, wear your boots, cut your steak or something. I don't know. Anyway, something about skinny jeans in there. I swear to God, there was something. Now I can't seem to find it. I'm also terrible at those word searches, so I'm not terrible. Okay, maybe there wasn't something about skinny jeans. Maybe there was something about, maybe one of the commenters or something said something about skinny jeans. Oh, yeah. Here we go. We've been conditioned to believe that there is no place in modern society for the man who refuses to shave his chest. I don't shave my chest. Or wear skinny jeans. Who's conditioning people to believe that? I mean, what? Magnum PI would still be popular right now. I mean, I'm sure the reruns are doing quite well. And he's got a burly chest. I mean, retro's all in anyway, so people are probably gonna stop shaving any minute. Things come in cycles, whatever. I mean, there's a whole Bush movement too with having fucking everything, hair everywhere, everybody having it. So, I mean, I don't know if it's called the Bush movement. I just made that up, but whatever. There's people just fucking not shaving anything, and whatever. I mean, go have at it, whatever, right? If you let other people get to you, then either that's on purpose or you're just being sensitive. You can't let people get to you. One of the points I made sort of arguing about this meme was like, look, if you're worried that because they quoted something about the pussy hatters, people wearing pussy hats talking about how men, or this or that, or patriarchy, and I don't know, some crap. I'm like, look, I mean, yeah, there's some pussy hat people making a big stink, but in general, the American people aren't trying to like not make men wear let men wear beards or force men all to wear skinny jeans. Like, this is like a made up fight. And that was my point, is like, you're just getting mad over some shit you made up yourself. There's if someone's making fun of you because you're not fashionable, because you're not wearing skinny jeans, well, that's you letting your friend who's making fun of your fashion get to you. It's like, stop letting them get to you. Who gives a fuck? I mean, if you don't care about fashion, then why does it matter? If you do care about fashion, well, then take their advice and get yourself some skinny jeans. But if you don't care about fashion, then who cares? But nobody's telling you that you can't, in order to be a man, or what? For the man who, no place in modern society. What? God, I don't fucking know. Oh, what else? All right, we've got we got a lot of comments going on. Women are getting higher. Okay, I know guys will try hard to be masculine. Makes me wonder. Mike says. Chris says, I believe there are different levels of masculinity. Okay. True that, Chris. I still like the old-fashioned way, like you said, Chris. A man should bring home the bacon. Is what I was taught growing up, and it makes sense. But I'm also all for women's rights. That's what Mike says. Chris says, society now has eased up and has allowed more men to be themselves naturally, whether it's whipping up a gourmet meal in the kitchen or dancing with their daughter without feeling ashamed. And I agree with that. Mike says non-toxic masculinity is about being yourself, whatever that may mean for you. Bingo. Right. Like, man, I knew gay dudes that knew more about mechanics and turbochargers and shit than people that have been trying to learn about cars for years. And that would smash the mold for some people, right? Like, what? That doesn't make sense. And like, well, what are you talking about? And they don't fit the mold of masculinity if you were to hear them talk, for instance, or look at their grooming habits, or as far as their beards and other whatever shit, I guess, that fall into that, you know what I mean? But yeah, there's nothing wrong with the old-fashioned idea. I think there's a lot of women who believe in this notion of staying home and being a home home giver, or what do you call that? Home something. Anyway, what was I talking about? Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? But it shouldn't be an imposition. So like, nobody should be punished for that. And we don't have to go to some absurdity to say that it's being attacked. Or even the idea that it's cruel to kill your own food. I think there's a whole movement behind that. I mean, I would put it behind the meat industry that would want people to not seek alternatives to the mass slaughter of animals. You know, I actually believe, here you go, all you leftists out there who are going to get weird on me, and right wingers who are about to be surprised. Homemaker, Chris says. That's exactly what I meant to say. Shit, what was I going to say? I actually believe in hunting. I think hunting is noble, and I believe, because here's the thing about hunting. First of all, you have to face the death of the animal. Second, there's a chance that you will come home empty-handed and have to eat your potatoes and carrots or rice or whatever you're going to eat this animal with. You might have to eat it with hamburger or bologna or something you get at the store on the way back from your empty day of hunting, where you don't get that chance. There's no chance at the supermarket. Your prey, quote unquote prey, has already been corralled for you and wrapped in cellophane, sterilized from the reality of its actual living essence, right? Anyway, but for instance, okay, so there's nothing wrong. I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong. Now, I know there's some people out there, especially quote unquote liberal people out there, who do have a problem with hunting. I hope they also have a problem with mass factory slaughter of animals. If they do have a problem with hunting, if they're vegan, then I don't have an argument totally for that. I'm just like, you know what? Let me hold on to some piece of deep nature, right? I've talked about deep nature before in what it's sort of my worldview of humanity, right? What is human nature? I think that you can't necessarily pin it on one thing, but there are some sort of things that echo back probably into something that has to do with us as a species, possibly. I don't know for sure, but there's some things that, like for instance, I believe there are people who have the urge to hunt. And I don't doubt that that's something that sort of became an innate thing that some people are good at and strive to do, and that would have served a major purpose in the development of humankind, to have that kind of instinct to do that. And so to me, I feel like there's a deep nature to that. I feel like a lot of misogyny and toxic masculinity sometimes can be found in some root of deep nature where we are transitioning from a sort of brutish way of living as a species of animal, basically, where the might takes all, right? The mighty, generally meaning the strongest, or the one who can kill the most or whatever. Really, I mean, I guess in some ways that's still true, but now it's different, right? It's different. There are different motivators and different ways of that people are motivated towards each other instead of by force, which it was at some point in our development as a species. And now we're transitioning out. So there's probably some deep nature affecting some men who think that they are entitled to what has happened in the past in this brutish nature of selection, where men get to bash Mary over the head and bring her into the cave by their will only. All right, so let's see what else we got. What did he say? Mike says non-toxic masculinity is about being yourself, whatever that may mean for you. Mike says it's true. More men are stay-at-home dads. Yep, Bush movement, right? Talking about that. There are, the Bush movement is there's a bunch of gals out there that are not shaving anything anymore. Got arm hair, all that stuff. DJ, what's up? Superfan DJ is here. That's what's up. So we're talking about toxic masculinity. We've been talking about off and on about different things, but there's something in our society, and I think we can really bring it all back to capitalism, because capitalism capitalizes on anything that causes a stir, anything that causes attention, anything causes movement, momentum, volatility. That is something that can cause a potential for creating a tribe. Once you create a tribe, you can create means for support and creating money that way. So there is motivation for people to actually create these divides and perpetuate this. Like the problem I had with this meme is that it's helping to sort of tickle that itch that there's this enemy out there, that there's this whoever it is that has a scent of being this perceived enemy that's against all of the things that are stood for in that meme. As a man, you're a provider. As a man, you're solely responsible for the safety. As a man, so you're sort of imposing your beliefs on what a man should do, what the woman should do, and what the relationship is. And the only thing that's toxic about that is the expectation that everybody follow whatever it is that you decide is the standard by which everyone must follow. I think that's when it crosses the line to toxic. Otherwise, it's just masculinity, and masculinity has different forms and it manifests in different ways. So you can't just it's not a monolithic thing. And so toxic masculinity is really the application of the perception of masculinity in a negative way. And that's really the nuance. That's really the difference. It's not a war. Nobody's having a war on being masculine or whatever your perception of masculine is. No, I don't believe, I mean, maybe there's some people, but whatever. I made a point to say, like, there's some Trump people, Trump supporters out there that are racist. Does that mean all conservatives or all Trump supporters are racist now? I mean, I would think not, but maybe they're saying that that's the truth just because they heard or were exposed to some small population of people who, voiced some kooky point of view. Now they're suddenly under attack by some specter out there that the masculine quote on the actual words, the masculine American male is a dying breed. Like, there's plenty of masculine American males. I would imagine that the men in the live feed in the comments are all masculine American males. I believe I am, but maybe, because I have long hair that's tied up, maybe I'm not masculine. I don't know. Maybe I don't do enough masculine things. I do some masculine things. I don't know. I don't really give a shit at the end of the day, You know what I'm saying? I mean, I get whatever. It doesn't matter to me. Right. So I don't know. I don't know. Some people must be sensitive about something. Yeah. I mean, anyway, and as far as being told it's cruel to kill your own food, I was for years, and I sort of, in some ways live this way. I haven't lately, but I had 3 rules about eating meat. I wouldn't eat meat unless I killed it myself, right? Because I had to face the death and dismemberment and create, the work behind dispatching the animal, all that stuff, and having to butcher it and all of that reality, having to face that was part of that ability to eat meat. Okay, so that was one rule. The other rule was if I was a guest where it was being served. So it was already acquired somehow by the host, and I am a guest, so I'm not going to turn it down. I didn't participate in its acquisition per se, right? Or if it's gifted to me, sort of same idea, right? That someone has gifted me some meat. I made this rule mainly for hunters who wanted to share. People always threatened to give me a filet mignon, and nobody did, but I would have gladly accepted it because it was a gift. And again, I didn't participate in the creation of in the consumption of mass slaughtered meat. And that was sort of my thing for a while. And again, a lot of people in the world would consider me, basically, if they sat down and talked to me after they watch a few episodes, they probably think I'm a militant leftist. But I'm all for being able to, in fact, I believe that we should reopen the commons and allow more people to be able to hunt for their food. And we can look at wildlife management and making sure that people aren't screwing up the environment, hopefully through education and good stewardship, etc. But there's a whole freaking generation of people, there's a whole section of our society who thinks preservation of nature and anything for future generations is like hippie shit. I mean, and they're most of the people that also resonate with that meme. It's just, that's the thing about it. Most of them are. A lot of them are just sort of, I don't know what it is. Okay. Let's see what we got in this live chat. Hi, DJ Mark. Hey, Superfan Mark, what's up, man? He says I'm a welder, so I'm masculine as fuck. That's true. Though, I think I remember seeing some of those, like, those, like, the women worker World War II. What's her name? I can't remember. The riveter lady or whatever. Anyway, holding a welder. I don't know. So that might also be feminine a little bit. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, very masculine to be a welder. That's the thing. I'm not a welder by trade, but I do also, mess with a welder. and plasma cutter, and I can rebuild engines. Is that masculine? I don't know. Does that, I know how to do other like housework and fix house shit. Is that masculine? You know, like what do you have to do to be masculine nowadays? What does that really mean? And I don't wear skinny jeans on purpose. In fact, I don't really follow much any trends in anything. So yeah, I don't know. Mark says I also change diapers, so it all evens out. There you go. I mean, that's masculine as fuck too, right there, right? Changing diapers. Now, some people out there with this from this meme world out there might say, "Oh no, the masculine American male really shouldn't be doing that because they should be blah blah blah, and the woman." Blah, blah, blah. It's a different kind of world, you know. It's like if they want to do it, then you know you do your thing. You know what I mean? Mike says you're a real man. That's right. So I don't know. I think that's what we're here on the Boyd to talk about. And I really wish, you know, I invited people from this, the people that were triggered on the right wing side to join in on the conversation. Like, come on, let's talk about it on the podcast. I really didn't have a topic at the time to think about. Like, I was not really sure, sort of like was apprehensive about doing the show because I wasn't sure exactly if I wanted to do a part 2 of All Wars or Bankers Wars. I sort of wanted to give that one a rest for a little while and then pick it up later. But so then I ran into this meme and so got in a little heated little tit for tat on Facebook, you know, real quick little jaunt there. And at the end, I was like, look, let's talk about this. And here's my link. And I'm hopefully someone out there out of the 7, oh, we popped up to 7 people. Oh no, we're losing them. We're down to 5 now. Hopefully they'll come back. We had 7 people. So out of those 7, maybe someone out of the 7 was someone that got all worked up a little bit by what was going on. And they will sort of be motivated to say something. I don't know, but I think my whole point is that really there's a real truth in there somewhere, and that they're being played by this sort of, I don't know, are they doing it on purpose? Is it just sort of part of what, I don't know, their existence? Like, are they trying to create because it creates, is it just a side effect of the capitalistic tendency to try to make money on anything you can? And so if there's a way to sort of inflame and make something go viral by saying, you know, such and such gender queer so and so says this about men and this and that and they should die and da da da. It's like, oh, the liberals, da da da. Next thing you know, like this one gender queer person in New York or whoever the fuck is like speaking for whoever is not, you know, like a fan of Trump. You know, it's like, what even is liberal? What does that even fucking mean? Like I said, I troll liberals as much as I troll anyone else. And so, you know, I'm basically, when I say troll, I just put, when someone blatantly puts something down and I feel like, look, come on, there's more to this than that. They're not using nuance about something. And then I'm like, hey, I'm going to go piss in your mashed potatoes real quick. And I know it's shitty, but that's just my fucking Facebook presence. I don't know. Sorry. That's why the Boyd is put together, where I don't act like that and we talk about shit in a more, chill way, and hopefully we hash our differences out. So anyway, I don't know. What other thoughts do you guys have about, like, when you guys think about toxic masculinity, what do you guys think? What are some things that come to mind? Like the images or the ideas or the traits, or what do you like? Put it in a live chat if you want. There's a Skype link that you can use to Skype in, and I can take your call and patch you in to the show, and you can give your comment online, on the air. Is that fucking any more technology online? All right, so we got some more action in the comment section. Let's see what DJ says. I watch YouTube videos of Anonymous, and they are not on the side of the liberals or conservatives, but for the truth. Mark says Charlottesville. Wait, what? What's Charlottesville? Wait, what did you? Let's see, error. Oh, wait, maybe my Skype's not working. That's not good. If my Skype's not working, I think it is. It's supposed to be working, but it did make a weird noise. You guys heard that? Yeah, something's wrong. Something is wrong. All right, so maybe you can't Skype in, but you can live chat, and so we got some folks on there. DJ saying about Anonymous. Anonymous. I would love. It would be so great if they. I don't know. Are they real? Are they like COINTEL Pro? Are they counterintelligence? I don't know. I can't tell. I wish I knew. I can't trust Anonymous, but that is. Oh, Charlottesville. He's saying an example of toxic masculinity. Okay. Yeah, I think weren't they chanting some things? I mean, that the Charlottesville is definitely a example of toxic behavior for sure. I mean, we're looking at racism. I think I'm trying to think what masculine thing was going on there. I mean, they had those tiki torches. I don't know if that was sort of their thing. Mike Costa says tap out guys. And I believe he's referring to the guys that wear the tap out brand of shirts and apparel that are often very form-fitting, very loud in design, and they have become very synonymous with the MMA. I sort of can imagine this caricature of a person who wears this tap out gear, has very short hair typically, and usually trying to get pretty built. They're wearing the shirt, form-fitting, show their muscles off. And a lot of times they seem easily provoked. But that's just me. So tell someone has a different opinion, please put it in. Maybe someone likes the aesthetic. And now they're getting lumped in with those other guys that also like the aesthetic, that act like chuds when they shouldn't be acting like that. All right, so Chris says, to me, it means men shouldn't cry, share their feelings, always be ready to fight. Don't let your wife, spouse work harder than you, etc. Yeah, I mean, it's expectations of what people have over, what men in general should behave like. Not so much the individual. Every individual is going through their own pain, their own journey. And sometimes it's like all people are asking for is like, some space, or they're asking for some support or something. Now, some people are crazy. I mean, I don't know. You got to really, work with that. And at the end of the day, we should all be thinking about, all of us are Americans, right? So just because the media is trying to stoke some kind of divide because it makes them money and they can have stuff that goes viral, like the stupid meme and the stupid, like, oh yeah, this one, New Jersey gender queer, maybe, feminine biased gender queer man who now goes by the name of Courtney in New Jersey said that women this and that and some bullshit. It's like, and then now it's like, oh, the liberals are doing this thing, right? It's those, nobody, like, it's again, it's like taking crazy little things and turning it into a giant universal thing, and to try to create a boogeyman and a straw man. And that's all my point was. So maybe there's some people out there that believe there is a war against men, and that toxic masculinity is taking too many, the fight against toxic masculinity is taking too many bystanders and what's the other word I'm looking for? I guess too many victims or etc. If someone believes that, please dump it into the live stream. Well, I don't know if my Skype works, but dump it in the live comments and tell me what you think about that. You know, what are your thoughts on that? But yeah, I mean, again, it's like, yeah, men shouldn't cry. You know, I've been seeing more and more articles about, you know, suicide rates, and part of that being, you know, at least the notion being brought up that men are expected to feel one way or another and don't share certain things to the point where they don't want to deal with it anymore, and they have no way to discuss something. Or there's so much alienation now that there's not a lot of community that people have, that people can sort of go to get the support they need for whatever it is we're talking about. And you know, that's it's unfortunate. And I think that if we had a way, which I think there is a solution to that, if there's a way to rebuild community and have time back that you could invest in the community and have these sort of networks and, in a way, social safety nets, not financial social safety nets, but like actual social safety net, where if someone actually cares about you because they know you and they've taken the time to know you and interact with you. I think, you know, there's a way for us to all voluntarily do that, but we have to create the conditions by which it is encouraged for us to do that. Right now, there's people working multiple jobs. There's a penalty in doing that. They can barely have enough time for their own families, so let alone try to reach out and network and create community. We need to change the dynamic of the system. I think toxic masculinity sort of has some portion in that. We've had a patriarchal society. Now, a lot of the conservatives out there don't like to hear that word, and they think it's a made up term to describe our system. But I mean, when this nation was first created, only white men with land could do anything and have any say and vote in governance. And you know, over time, additional liberal being freedom, all right, the freedom to vote and participate, the freedom to exist, right, as far as, you know, as humans and things like that under the law, in the land, things like these crazy notions. These things were liberal ideas to liberate people, right? They went against the conservative idea, which was to conserve the status quo, which was whatever it was at the time, right? So, I mean, I don't know. Again, we're at a point where we need to start looking into the future, and we're at a technological standpoint where we're going to automate ourselves out of work if we keep doing the same thing. And there's going to be a bunch of crazy poor people and a few people at the top that sort of run things. And that, I don't think anyone wants that kind of world. But I mean, some people are all about it because they think that those people who find their way to power will be benevolent in some way. So I don't know. All right. So what else we got? Mike says toxic masculinity is one of the ways in which patriarchy is harmful to men. Ooh, all right. It refers to socially constructed attitudes that describes the masculine gender role as violent, unemotional, sexually aggressive, and so forth. All right, let's talk to me. Yeah, so socially constructed attitudes. So that entire meme that we went over is basically, in a way, I mean, so this is what they do. They wrap toxic masculinity, which is basically enforcing their, in my mind, in my sort of perception of this, even in this definition that we put forth here, that they've wrapped toxic masculinity in this sort of candy coating and put it in this nice little picture, and then to basically to rile up people to think that this is under attack, when in fact, this is something that is perpetuating toxic masculinity by sort of saying, hey man, you do this, you do that, and you have to fulfill this gender role that's been assigned to you, right? And so I don't know, you know what I mean? It's when your perception of manhood or masculinity, it results in punishment of harassment or harassment of someone else, and now becomes toxic. If you want to be all these things, then go for it. You know what? There's a whole world of people who love you and are attracted to you and will accept you and think you're great. And that would include most everybody. There might be a few fringe people, but guess what? There's also racists, and black people have to live with them. Whatever. You just have to live with the people that don't like you. Big whoop. It doesn't mean the whole world's against you. You don't like it when black people say, I'm assuming the conservatives that resonate with this meme are all conservative, are white, but either way, even if they're not, they don't like it if somebody, a minority of some sort, tells them that they're going through this experience that they themselves aren't experiencing, like the white person isn't experiencing, or generally the conservative. It doesn't even have to be a white person. It could be a black person or a Hispanic person who either closed their eyes to or has been sheltered enough to never have experienced, the echoes of our past as a nation is really what it is. The echoes of the past in whatever form they may take. So it may be in the children of the racist. It could be the racists themselves. My saying is that rules and laws don't change hearts and minds. And so just by making rules to desegregate or making rules saying that you can't be racist doesn't mean that you can't, that they don't exist. They're still out there. It's just illegal for them to act openly is all. Okay, let's see. I've been yapping on. Chris says, one of the topics I discuss when I do my after-school mentoring in the fall is talking to young men about conflict resolution and not being afraid to share their feelings. Yeah, and that's important, especially also with vocabulary and reading. Supposedly, there was a study that was put out that was done about the levels of reading proficiency and vocabulary among felons and people in prison. And they found a very high level of violent offenders with very low levels of ability to communicate. So either reading, writing, or both, or low vocabulary. And that inability to communicate, just communicate their feelings, communicate their thoughts in a way that people can understand, led to a lot of frustration, which then also led to a lot of other lashing out, which ended up leading them to jail. And that human trait to want to communicate with another human is part of our deep nature that we can't shake. And that's why solitary is so bad, is that you don't get the chance to be connected even with someone, even if you had someone you hated around. It's after some period of time, it would be better than being alone. At least supposedly. I haven't been through that myself. So, I mean, I would try it. I don't know. I heard it messes you up. I don't know if it messes you up and I can't go backwards, I don't know if I want to do it. All right, DJ says, I mentioned anonymous because you remind me of a person who speaks their mind no matter if it doesn't agree with liberals or conservatives. Thank you, DJ. I do that. Thank you. Liberal, conservative, those are names made to divide us. We are one person. If someday a great unifier could come to lead the people, who knows what kind of world? We got to think about what kind of world do we want to live in, not what kind of world will we live in. What kind of world do we want? And then we can make it happen. We got to envision it in our mind. That's one thing that I think we haven't really thought about. Most of us think of this dystopian future. If we keep thinking that, that's what we're going to get. So anyway, What else we got? Chris says they are taught to be angry and violent to no end, just to prove they are tough. In the neighborhoods I grew up, you could never cry or show you were weak. If you did, you weren't man enough. Yeah, I mean, it's just an unfortunate. Again, it's a side effect. I think it's a side effect of deep nature. I think that's a hold from our winner take all. You know, the alpha takes the harem kind of mentality that existed probably through our early development, which was a long time. And now society and our cultural norms are relatively new in the span of our length of existence on this earth. So, yeah, I mean, it's, I think there is a continuation of that sort of visceral urge to be the alpha of something in a physical way. And if there's a way to one up someone else and become that alpha by not being empathetic to someone else, how easy is that to just basically turn your back on someone and be unempathetic to them and tell them, stop crying, don't just hide how you feel or whatever. But, I think those are changing. And I think some people don't like that change, that when you say that if you cry or show you're weak, that is to be heralded. So what these people who resonate with the meme are doing, what they would do with Chris's statement here would be to say, oh, you think showing you're weak and crying is more of being a man than not. That's ridiculous. You liberals are this and that. I'm like, nah. If you are weak or cry, that's just you. Maybe you wouldn't cry or be weak or whatever in a different context. That someone else would be like a little weakling. I don't know. I don't know. People shouldn't judge other people at the end of the day, right? We should all just look at our brothers and sisters as unique people and deal with it, right? But people want to one up each other. Weak people have to one up each other. It doesn't matter how much money they have. It doesn't matter what their stature is socially. It doesn't matter where they were born, this, that. It doesn't matter what they did in their life. Weak people have to one up someone else. If you're with someone who constantly has to one up somebody, then they're weak. They have a weakness that they're trying to make up for. If you find yourself I found myself doing it. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Why am I always coming up with my one-upper story? What weakness am I serving by doing that? And I found sort of, introspection was my want to be sort of the center and be the focus of attention instead of the inquisitor and the observer, which I think I'd rather be than to do that. And so now, instead of one-upping people, I ask them for more details. And guess what? People are more apt to give me even more detail about their story, and I really get to know people in a deeper way than constantly trying to tell them how much I did something. You know what I mean? But it took me time. It took me time to figure that out. But some people use, someone else's sign of weakness or someone else's weak time, their whatever's happening in their life, to use it to to up themselves by pushing someone else down, which is, that's toxic shit. You know what I'm saying? That's toxic shit. Chris says that is largely true today. Yeah, it's still going on today. And that's really the thing, is that anybody saying you shouldn't do that, then the people who do that, they put these memes out and say, by us saying you shouldn't do that is that you hate men. It's sort of like this argument ad absurdum, kind of like this argument to absurdity, like going all the way to the extreme point. And that's, of course, that's where I'm saying there's a paper tiger. DJ says, James, are you not secretly anonymous? I wish I did. You know what? I wish I knew more about IT shit. I'm telling you, if I knew a good hacker, I mean, that's not that I would do anything, but I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if there's a movement or a revolution happening. We just don't know about it. Like did Coke like die naturally, or did someone in the rebellion like off him because he's buying politicians? I mean, I don't know. Or are these all these heads of CEOs of different companies like disappearing somehow, or what are they going? Getting offed or whatever, and like we just don't know about it, because if we knew about it, then it might instigate copycatters or something. I don't know, like what would happen. I don't know, but usually somebody will. You can't keep it too much a secret. Someone will be like, "Oh, where's this person?" And then it'll be like a reporter and said something. Blah blah blah. Okay, am I secretly anonymous? I wish I was. I don't know. I like sort of sometimes. Sometimes anonymous is pretty good. Usually anonymous is pretty good about not taking a left wing or right wing stance. But it's hard to look. It's hard to sometimes see. I think sometimes they do a decent job. It depends on who you. There's different channels of anonymous too, so watch out for that. I mean, how do you know what's the real anonymous? And what does that even mean? It could be anything. Anonymous is like, it's just a group of people. Like, I don't know. What are the credentials to being an anonymous? I don't know. Mike says, bingo. Mike, Chris says, sadly, many young black men who grew up like I did are raised in single mom household. There's a double-edged sword. There isn't a father figure to teach them how to be a man, and in turn they look for it in entertainers, rappers, guys on the corner, etc. This causes the shutdown, which means no conflict resolution is taught, and in turn they only know how to be tough, and that to many is being a man. Yeah, I mean, that there's some good points in there. There's a toxicity to that. If this person, this boy or man, whoever, feels like, their reaction to stress or whatever stimulus is to shut down, and their natural reaction is that, then that's okay, great. But if their natural reaction is to cry or to discuss it or say something, then they should be able to, without someone punishing them or harassing them based on their own perception of what's masculine. Again, that's where it becomes toxic, is when there's an action, a negative action associated with not falling into the mold of a masculine mindset or masculinity. Mark says, I really hate people. Really hate double uppers. Typo. Really. Hey, sometimes I hear a lot of people talk about how much they hate people. It's a love-hate. Double-edged sword, right? You got to love your brothers and sisters, but they're also some fucking people are fucking. There's some garbage ass people. There's just some garbage ass people. That's the question. I think when we talk about like social issues, and we talk about capitalism, and we talk about like society in general, and coming up with how do we manage our society, it's like there are some people out there that are sort of just whatever nurture whatever, they're sort of garbage people. So what does that mean? They're self motivated, not self motivated. They're what is it? Well, sometimes they're self-righteous, but they're also very self-centered and self-interested, and a lot of times they're lazy, and you can't really trust them to do what is right. And there's people out there like that. You probably ran into them. Hopefully you're not one. If you are one, there's a lot of self-reflection that you should probably do right now. But there's some people out there that are sort of crappy. Now the question becomes, what should we do with them? Should they, A, die on the street? B, die in another different way? Or C, we find a way that they can find some kind of way to make a living and exist in this earth that isn't slave labor, but also isn't completely welfare, right? So there's got to be something that we do with the garbage people that just really like, oh my God, better. There's some just garbage people, I swear, like the racist people. The racists, like, come on, you're judging you're judging an individual person based on the color of their skin or something like that. It's like you're garbage. You're just garbage. I mean, sorry. I mean, you can change, but you got to change yourself. People a lot of times don't want to do it. All right, so what do we got? A lot of stuff going on in the chat. Facebook. No Facebook chat, people. Come on, Facebook chat. Nobody's even watching on Facebook. Well, YouTube's where it's at. 6 people, six very unique people in the world out of the billions on right now discussing this. Chris says, for it. Oh, wait, we said that. Mike says, I used to feel the same way, Mark. You just have to find the like-minded people like yourself because the world is a cruel place filled with cruel people. Yeah, but there's a lot of good people out there. I think we can break our brothers and sisters of Wetiko. We talked about Wetiko, the cannibalizing psycho-spiritual virus that people have that will cannibalize their fellow human for their own benefit, for the cannibals' benefit, right? So nobody wants to be a cannibal, I would hope. And by the way, it ends up being sort of a self-consuming thing if we really think about it in the macro scale. So anyway, like the fungus growing on the bread that Joe Rogan likened humanity to, we someday will exhaust the bread on which we live, and then we'll just die, and maybe our spores will live on, but we're just going to destroy the whole bread habitat. Cruel place, cruel people. DJ says, Chris, I thought the same thing. I raised my son alone. I had step parents. I taught him to be a good person, but not how to be a man. Wow. Yeah, that's deep. And Mike says that's deep, Chris, but real as fuck. That's exactly, yes. And that's DJ had to deal with some interesting situations. How do you sort of, I mean, how important is it to model certain behaviors as a man, or can you as a mother model certain behaviors and be, it's everything's different. There's no one way or another. There's an element of chaos, so you can't 100% say anything about anybody in any specific time. You just can't make a blanket statement, though, is my thing. So it's hard to say 100%, right? What if there's a best or whatever way, you just do your best, and there's different things that affect how we grow up, and how we are, and we are changing. I'm a different person myself. I'm a different person than maybe 5 years ago, definitely 10 years ago. I'm very different in my perception, and even the way I act, my demeanor, my attitude about life is different. A lot of things are different. And that happened late in my, that was in my 30s and whatnot. I'm in low 40s right now. I'm 40, one? Something like that. Yeah, one. What was I saying? Chris says it's devastating. The young man just tonight was helping my 16-year-old nephew on calming his cousin down from pulling a gun on some of his peers. Oh, man. My nephew's reaction was, we try to tell him, but he doesn't even care. So in turn, he's being a man, quote unquote, but really is becoming a coward. If you could hear the stories I get for some of these young men, you would be in shock. Chris says, DJ Forte, you did an amazing job raising your son. Sometimes you learn later on in life what being a man is really about. DJ says, on the other hand, I remember my older sister told me this world isn't meant for people like me. Like people like you, I'm assuming I'm passive and submissive. Yeah, I mean, it should be. It should be completely meant for a world, for people like you. That's the problem. We've allowed it to become overtaken by Wetiko. If we didn't have Wetiko as a virus that's consuming other people, nobody would take advantage of your passivity or your submissive nature. In fact, they would just work with you. If anything, there would be more people protecting you. We should be striving for that type of society, I would imagine. But there's something that's pushing us away from that. And going back to the toxic masculinity, there are people who want to sort of force these ideals on them, um, on other people. And if the son doesn't want to do certain things or whatever, then that becomes a ruse or a punishment or something to tease someone about. That's when it becomes toxic. And it's it's that nuance. Is that it? To me, it seems pretty obvious, but to the people that resonate with that meme, it's obviously not obvious with them. So I don't know what else to say about that. What are your thoughts on that whole thing? I was really hoping we would get some people that are, like, I guess, pro toxic masculinity. The people who are just really riled up about, like, the Gillette ads, which I only saw parts of it, that just are getting all fucking bitch face about, like, I don't know, the attack on men. The American male is a dying breed. Be of good courage. Be of good courage. What the hell kind of shit? Be strong. Be of good courage. Long live the masculine, long live the masculine American male. Wow. What is that crap? Give me a break. I mean, was Mr. Miyagi masculine? Think about that. Was he masculine? He'd kick your ass. Was he masculine? He fucking grew trees in his basement. He had a pretty dope ass car collection. I mean, we can tit for tat. He had, flowery shirts. I mean, they're mostly like sort of Hawaiian looking, I guess. I don't know. I'm trying to think of the most stereotypical non-masculine or masculine things. But Mr. Miyagi, is Mr. Miyagi masculine? I don't know. You tell me. But I'll tell you what. I bet he don't give a shit, and he'll still pinch your nose and tell you that his belt comes from Sears. You know what I mean? And so I think that's where Mike's coming from. It's like, you know what? He can walk around like super masculine dude or whatever, and not say a word and not do anything, and nobody's gonna say anything. Mike brings up a good point. And what about Mr. Rogers? Was Mr. Rogers masculine? I mean, he was in the army, I'm pretty sure. He taught people how to be good neighbors and share and be a community, things like that. So, like, was he masculine? I don't know. He had inside shoes and outside shoes. I mean, some people would be complaining to the point where, oh my God, he has two different types of shoes for whatever. Oh my God, that's what is world coming to. It's the libs, damn libtards, and Mr. Rogers. There's some people out there that think Mr. Rogers is too liberal and possibly gay or this or that, even though I'm pretty sure he's not. But Mike says Navy SEAL Special Ops. There you go. Bam. I mean, just a nice guy. I mean, I don't know. Look, I'll be honest, like, because this show's about the truth. I've been asked if I was gay before, right? And I'm not gay, in case you were wondering out there in YouTube world. They asked, there was presumptions in there for whatever reason. I didn't think I was giving off the gay vibe, but what even is that? I don't know. Supposedly gay people with gaydar can pick up on this gay vibe. So apparently that ensnared me a couple times, but hey, what am I going to do about that? You know what I mean? So I'm not going to change who I am or how I act or whatever based on some person's perception of me. So just because someone might have thought Mr. Rogers was gay doesn't mean he was. Just because someone thought I was gay doesn't mean that I am. Stuff like that, etc., etc. Mike says DJ would be upset if you were gay. Hey, what's up, DJ? My son's godfather committed suicide. Oh, Jesus, I'm sorry to hear that. Suicide a few weeks ago in jail. Oh, damn. It says some men suffer in silence with the problems in her. Oh, yeah, all the time. It's happening a lot. There's a lot of veterans, especially veterans. You know, these people that are sort of they have to endure deep levels of toxic masculinity and toxic nationality, or not nationality, nationalism, toxic patriotism. Sometimes there's a lot of layers to people right now, and so yeah, I don't know. There are so many people, and you know, there's a good friend of mine who had a relative who just committed suicide recently. It's happening out there, and I don't know. I mean, whatever. It's you. People can call me a troll. People can do whatever they want. When people are spreading stuff that I believe is perpetuating toxic masculinity, I call them out on it. And if that means I'm a troll, then I'm a troll. But I did invite them, so I don't think I'm a total troll. I'm a nice troll. The friendly troll doesn't have round teeth, not sharp teeth. So when I come out of the bridge, when you post something on Facebook, and I come out of the bridge and I go and troll your post, it's not with big fangs and sharp, pointy teeth. It's with some kind of snide remark, and it's probably, yeah, you can imagine me with a smart-ass face or something a la Ben Shapiro if you want to, etc. But you know, it's like usually I'm just throwing it out there to counter something like that. You know what I mean? Something that's out there that I don't believe in. Now, if someone has something that changes my mind, okay, let's hear it. Haven't heard it yet. All right. So DJ again, sorry to hear that. DJ asks, James, what do you do when you're stressed out? Man, I've been stressed out for like a couple years now. So what do? I just try to deal with it, you know, as much as I can. I like to go fishing. If I had some money again, I would start racing. SCCA racing is cool. Also, there is a time attack. There's I think in Stark, there is a road course. And on that road course, they do a time attack, which is you try to compete with oh man, I just forgot. Brain fart. I got distracted. Man, what was I even talking about? No, I don't even know. Oh, yes, about time attack. I would be doing time attack. So you basically just go around the course as fast as you can, and everyone just competes to see how fast they can go around the track. And so that would be badass if I had some money to mess with a car and start doing that. I'll tell you what, that is some stress relief right there. I mean, because you can't think about whatever's fucking your world up. You can't think about it when you're going around cones or you're trying to like battle a track and not fall off. You're like in the in between like losing control and pushing it like as far as you can, right? And actually being in control. And you're battling everybody else, and how you tune your car, how you attack the corners and the straightaways, and where do you stand in your class, and who's your competition, and you can't think about whatever's stressing you in life when you're in the middle of a race. So I would love to get back into that. But, you know, my thing is, like, when I'm stressed out, I like to I just got so many hobbies. So when there's people that say I'd never retire, I don't know what I would do with my life. I'm like, what the? That's so fucking crazy. Like, I would be making shit. I would be building stuff. I would be traveling. I would be doing so many millions of things, or so many things. And yeah, when I'm stressed, I try to do those things. Unfortunately, so there's sometimes when, you know, you're just stressed and there's not a lot that that you can do. You just really gotta look to the future, I think, and at least that's what I try to do. Look to the future and have a leap of faith, and you know, you just keep working. You work. Have faith that your work will, you know, amount to something. So no matter what you do, even if it doesn't, even if you're working on something and it doesn't, you know, I was listening to this sales podcast. It's called Hardcore Closer Podcast, if you want to check it out on SoundCloud. And he was talking about how almost everybody, big majority of people fail three times before they hit it big. And so, like, he was just basically talking to people that are bummed out, stressed out from doing something or trying to do something and failing at it, is that you should basically expect to fail. Because if you didn't fail, you probably didn't try. And if you didn't fail, you probably didn't push hard enough to get a big enough goal. So when you're failing, that sometimes means you're at a point, you know, hopefully you don't want to fail too hard, right? But you're at a point where hopefully you learn something for the next time. And you might fail 3 times, but the majority of people who make it big, and it's always so easy to gloss over that part when you're reading the book, when you're watching a documentary, when whatever shit, you finally get to sit down with them and have a dinner or something, and they talk to you about, well, I had 3 years of my life where I was practically homeless, and then eventually had this idea to do this and this, and it took me another year before this happened. You know, it's so easy to just glance over that in 10 seconds in a conversation, but 3 years of homelessness, that'll fuck your brain up, right? The stress, the anxiety, the financial struggle, the shame, all sorts of shit that comes with that kind of thing. The societal expectations, potential toxic masculinity or femininity or whatever bullshit, right? Oh no, hopefully I didn't lose a feed. Anyway, I don't know. It looks like my YouTube feed everything has frozen. My timer is still moving, but my face has frozen for some reason. So let's see. Let's see what's going on here. Let's switch to this and see if that helps at all. All right. I don't know what's going on with the. Uh-oh. You're in an echo. I don't know if you guys. You're in an echo. I don't know if you guys hear it.